Okay, again, hope this is a good angle for everybody to see what I'm doing. This is a Nisogen Model B. The guts are gone. A lot of the front stuff is gone too. I mean, this is still all there, but a lot of stuff's been taken off. But at any rate, I'm now ready to disassemble what I call the launch mechanism. And most all of these, I believe, were made by the same company. They're so similar that I think there was one supplier for all of this. Every once in a while it'll look a little different, but most of the time it looks exactly like the Nisogen. So first thing you do is just remove this from the nail and unhook it from the launch hammer. This is the launch spring. Any metal parts I put in my sonic cleaner and get rid of all the rust. And then I will pull this nail out so it's not in the way from doing the refinishing on the wood here. There is a piece on the Nisogens that is for where the winning ball drops out of the machine. It's just a support piece. So it's held in with a couple of staples. You just use your pry tool. Get in there with your pry tool. Pry the staples out. And again, into the sonic cleaner for anything that's metal. Then there will be two rollers here. These are usually in pretty rough shape. But they're cleanable and reusable unless they just disintegrate, which I've certainly had them do before. These are held in by brass nails, so these brass nails join the nails on the front of my machine when I tumble them. So a couple other just miscellaneous things here. You've got the strike plate, just held in with a couple of screws. This one's pretty rusty. And when they rust up, they're pretty hard to get out. That's why I have these pliers. If I remember, I'll put a link down in the description below. These I got from Amazon. These are just invaluable for grabbing the heads of nails or screws that are almost flat. This one was up, so it was really easy to grab, but they come out. Again, this goes in the sonic cleaner. Okay, so what you've got here is right here, this big nut. It's a 14 millimeter nut, and that holds the thumb rest in place. Just loosen that up. This one's pretty rusty. So there's a lock washer and a washer, which is quite often embedded in the wood. And if you ever get things that are stuck in here because of the rust, you don't want to hit them with a metal hammer. Always use a soft mallet so you don't damage the threads. You can see how rusty that is. That's why it didn't come out real easily. And then I'll go back in and dig that washer out. Okay, then you've got a couple of bumpers here and here. The bumpers are held in by screws and nails. So you take the screws out first. And these two and these 6 nails, for a total of 8, are all the same size. This nail, or a screw here, is a little bit smaller, but it's pretty easy to spot when you've got all of those together in one place. So now that I've got those, again, I use these pliers to pull nails and such. You just pull the nail out. And the the rustier these nails, the harder they are to pull out. So on these, I take the rubber bumpers out. Sometimes they're in rough shape, sometimes they're in pretty decent shape. With this one, you've got to open this up just a little bit, not much, and then this will come right out. So these will get cleaned, and then what do I do with it? These two, again, sonic cleaner. All the metal from my machines go into a sonic cleaner. It gets them really clean. Okay, so what you're left with is just the launch hammer and the bracket that holds it. So there is a nut and a lock washer on this, and the nut is a 10 millimeter. And what you want to do is get an adjustable pair of pliers, and there's a large nut, the lock washer, and then a smaller nut, which is the 10 millimeter. You're going to hold that large nut in place while you loosen the 10 millimeter nut. Take that completely off, and then you've got that. Now what you want to do is keep this. You're going to use this in just a minute. And then you take these 6 screws out and get it out of there. So again, now this bracket is loose, and you just, again, go counterclockwise. This should spin right off. Sometimes they're tough, but it should spin right off. Again, sonic cleaner. Now this is the one of 2 parts that I actually use oil on. I will never ever use oil on the machine, the guts itself, with plastic parts. Oil is not good for plastic parts, but there is a ball bearing in here, and sometimes these are kind of sticky. Once I get this out of the sonic cleaner, I'll put a little bit of light machine oil in here, just so that ball bearing spins free. Oil is all right on metal to metal. There's also the same setup in the launch handle, and I'll do that too. Okay, so now, right now, the launch handle is still attached to the front of the board with 4 screws. Right? Everything else has been taken off. So now we're back to another 14 millimeter big nut here. So again, I invested in the deep sockets. If you don't have deep sockets, use a crescent wrench or something like that. Now this one's on pretty tight, so I found the easiest way to do it. Again, use a rubber mallet. Just brace it against the wooden frame here, and just give it a little wrap until it breaks free, and then it'll come right off. So you've got the big nut, and you've got the lock washer. Now, at this point, what's holding the launch hammer onto the launch handle is what's called a spline fit. In other words, there's the one part is like this, and the other part goes down onto it, and because it's shaped like this, it makes a tight fit. So you are not going to get this off just trying to pull it off. There's a technique to get it off, and I'll show you what that is in just 2 seconds. So what we're going to do is take these 4 screws out. Now on some machines, all 4 are screws. Other machines I've run across have 2 screws and 2 bolts with small nuts on the backside. But either way, they gotta come out. Okay, so now this whole unit is loose, okay? So this is the part that takes a lot of getting used to, and I did this a number of times before I got used to it. So what you do is you take the small nut that was on the top of this shaft, and you thread it on about 1.5 turns. You don't want to thread it down so far that the actual shaft is showing, but you want to just get it threaded on about 1.5 turns. So you're going to brace the launch hammer against the wood, and you need to hold on to the launch handle down here. And what you're going to do, and this is where you need a big steel heavy hammer, is you're going to pop that, because you've got to literally pop that out of that spline fit. And like I said, it's kind of scary when you do it the first time, but just watch how I do it. There. And it pops that spline like that. So this is down here where this comes on. You see it doesn't quite come down in. So when you tighten it, that makes that spline. So what you're doing is you're breaking it free like that from this area right in here. Oop, spline fit. So that's how you get all of that off. To put it back on, basically, you just reverse the process. This is going to go in first, and you're going to screw it in place. You then will thread this back down. I'm sorry, that's wrong. Once this is in place, you want to get your launch hammer back on, and what you need to make sure of is the proper positioning, like that. So here's the launch handle. It's going to be in this position, ready to play. You want to make sure your launch hammer is in this position. You don't want to get it so that it's this way and have the launch handle be in the wrong spot. So once this is in, you're going to take that large nut, large lock washer. You're going to put these back on and tighten them down tight. That'll bring it back down onto that spline. Then you will take this, and this goes on with the cutouts, these cutouts here, right there, up, and you just screw this down until you get some tension on this nut. Just until you get tension, and actually you want to back it off so that you can go like that. Then you know that these are down flush to the wood and there's no undue pressure on this. Put the screws in, and then use the adjustable wrench to hold this nut. Put the lock washer and the nut back on, tighten the top nut. So again, you don't force this one way or the other because it'll put too much pressure on the bearing. And then you just put your bumpers and things back in and hook your launch spring back on. So that's how you do all of that. It's not hard to do. Again, it's just a matter of knowing the proper way to step through it and get it done. Okay, hope that helps.